Okay. We all have to give each other peer feedback from time to time, and what we want to talk about with you for about 10 minutes is creating a culture of peer feedback on the go. How could you, in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, after a sim, after a case, after a resus, take a minute to get better at getting better? So Simon, Jesse, and I are going to do that, and there's 4 things that we're going to be working on. So one is high-frequency, low-dose feedback. The second is working on just a very thin slice of Simon's talk. Jesse's going to chat with him about something that he can get better at getting better. That's the third thing. We're going to just focus on improvement. It's not about bad character when you don't do a perfect job. Mistakes are not crimes to be punished. They are puzzles that we can learn from. And then finally, we're going to do our best to create a little psychological safety together by assuming the best of each other. I'm sure I'll make a mistake or two up here, and I hope you'll join me in the okayness of modeling some fallibility. So we're going to create psychological safety by assuming the best of each other. So Jesse, Simon, what's going to happen from here is I'm going to be like a little color commentator during a sports event. Jesse and Simon, you'll be talking. I might pause from time to time and note some moves that are happening between you. And Jesse, like a participant in a sports event, if you want to call a timeout, chat with me, we can do that too.
Awesome. So Simon, I just thought I'd check in. We agreed to do, for me to give you a bit of feedback after your talk when I saw it in there. Sure. You're still happy to go in front of just a couple of people here?
Yeah. I mean, we're amongst friends.
Excellent. So, given the time constraints, I thought we might just try and, I could offer a couple of observations of how some things that landed on me, and then we could actually drill in on one particularly to focus on. But before we do that, I'm just kind of keen to hear what are your sort of general thoughts, how it went, what were the immediate things?
Like always, you're very nervous before you come on. I'm glad it's over. And I think I got most of my points across. There's always a few things which I just forgot to mention. So I had a couple of omissions in there which I think may have helped the audience, particularly a broad church that we've got here. But it was okay, I think. So seemed happy at the end.
You're generally pretty happy.
I think I got my main messages across, which is to do something simple and to try and improve throughout your lifetime and that sort of thing.
Excellent. So it was a bit of a wrestle for me because you are such a good presenter to really search out a couple of things that I might be able to offer a bit of feedback on. I'm really conscious of the fact that it's subjective because it's around my receipt of how you did it as well, as is anyone in the audience receiving your presentation. So I just thought there's a couple of things I'd throw out there that landed on me, and I just had some more to think about. And one was just in general terms, the body movement sort of stuff. So your movement on stage. And the other one, if I could summarise up, was the use of questions and just generally pace and vocal stuff that you were doing. I wonder which of the two are you more keen to spend the time?
I'm comfortable with both of those. The body movement is something which I've had coaching on about before, and I know it's a journey that I'm on which I've not quite resolved. And the use of questions is something which I like doing a lot, but I know doesn't always lead well with everybody in the audience. So either of those I'd be fine with.
Okay, I'm going to just pause this there for a quick second. Sure. So you'll notice that Jesse at the beginning did a little informed consent with Simon, didn't want to come right at him. But then you'll notice there was a lot of going back and forth to sort of establish some connection and whether Simon was happy for Jesse to actually give him feedback. So the more frequent, the more expected, the more often we have feedback, the less of that protective conversation we have to have at the beginning. And so save yourself times in your programs by having this be absolutely expected. The other thing that was lovely that I think Jesse did is gave Simon a chance to have some say in what the feedback conversation was about. For those of you who are going to be trying to do this at home, and we encourage you to do so, when you let the other person choose the topic or you practice your feedback skills by starting with positive things, it's much less confronting. So let's see where Jesse goes next.
So, yeah, given that you're happy to dive into either, I might just, and you said that you're still on a journey on your movement stuff. Are you happy if we just take a look at that?
Let's talk about that.
So, my observation was you came and you very fixedly planted on, it seemed to me like you fixedly planted on a spot.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it was interesting because it had some pros and cons to me. I didn't find I was distracted by any movements. And I know from previous conversations you'd said that was something that you had to tie in. I guess my concern was, or the area that I thought maybe it could help, is using movement a bit more deliberately to help with signposting or changing topics. I don't know, what's going through your head about movement?
Okay, so the background is that I once did 10 kilometers during a 20-minute talk at the London Trauma Conference. So I would be quite happy to run around the stage whilst I was talking. So I'm really conscious that I have to restrict that. So I've gone for a single marker in the floor, and here we've got a cross, which is okay. I have talked about it in the past, or one of the things that's been suggested to me is when we move from one topic to another, to actually have 1 or 2 markers on the stage. And I suppose with that talk, there are actually 3 major segments. So I could, if it looked a bit fixed, if I was to do it again, then when I went from, particularly say the bit where I go for "Are you convinced?", that would be a good time to actually move, say, 5 feet over there and just take up a new position. Because I think when you move, it does also illustrate that you're moving on to. So I could do that if it felt fixed. Yeah. Because I felt I was swaying as well.
You felt what, sorry?
I was swaying.
Yeah.
So I desperately wanted to move, but the feet were welded to the floor, but the hips just wanted to go.
Just can't restrain the dancer.
Can't restrain the hips.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because I wondered if it had come from some prior attempt to actually constrain your movement.
So do you think I might have overshot a little bit?
I guess the impact that it had on me, and it probably combined with some of the questions that was you posed. I counted up. You posed about 8 questions during the talk. Some were. Had a little bit of a pause, and I was sort of starting to try and reflect. Others were like rhetorical, maybe intended as rhetorical, and you move straight on. I wondered if actually those shifts of movement might actually cause a bit of a pause and a deliberate change in topic, and allow a signpost a moment for reflection.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about actually linking the questions to movement as well, but actually, certainly in that talk, particularly that second, what's designed to be the most difficult question of the talk, that could potentially work. Yeah.
So if I could pause us there for a second. So what interesting thing Jesse did here is he explored what was the thinking behind Simon's standing in one place. And when he learned what that was, then he tailored his ideas and coaching and feedback to that very specific thing. And then maybe came up with an idea to make Simon just 1% better by telling him, hey, when you have one question, be here. When you have the next question, be here. When you have the next question, be here. And that might allow the audience to anchor better. So he's opened a topic, he's narrowed a topic, he's closed it, all in about 4.5 minutes. And so Jesse, I'm going to hand back to you to just wrap this conversation up.
Yeah, so Simon, I suppose that in the interest of time, we'll just summarise up and kind of look it forward. I don't know if there's anything out of that you're keen to try. I'm happy to have a watch of any practices of talks or anything I can offer.
You know, that'd be good. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rewatch the video of the first session, because come to think of it, that's what Eve did.
Yep.
So I'm going to go back and have a look what that looked like from the audience's perspective and have a think about that as well. So yeah, but if you could have a look as well, that'd be helpful.
That sounds great. Thanks.
Okay.
Great. So we are happy to get your feedback as well. So for those of you who are tweeting to Cian McDermott, feel free to tweet me or Simon or Jesse one thing that was working that we did in this feedback conversation and one thing that you think we could do better. Now, we'd really like to give you some practice with this. So if you want to join us in EduHub, next we're going to be doing batting practice. So you can see I come from the States. Let's see. Come and do some batting practice on feedback. We'll give you a go. We'll give you some feedback, rewind, redo. We love to work on it in rapid cycle deliberate practice. So see you there.
Thank you.
Thanks.